Thank you. I get it right here. All right, everyone, let me apologize for my tardiness. All meeting attendants must sign in on designated sign-in sheet. We are adhering to the Sunshine Law. All cell phones, electronic devices must be turned off or muted so not to disrupt this meeting. Individuals that's wishing to address the board must do so from the podium. You're going to state your name before you make any comments. Let's have the approval of minutes for May 15th and June 5th.
Make a motion to approve the 15th and June 5th meeting.
Second. It's been motioned by Reggie and second by Ron for the approvals of minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. All those that are going to be testifying regarding a pending application or case, please stand to be sworn in by a court reporter.
Do each of you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're giving today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
All right. All right, we're gonna go to beer applications approved by regulatory. River City Company, TE-85. I'm gonna mess that up right there. Number 2, Nostalgia Tap Truck LLC, TE-86.
Good morning, Zach Yanis with the City Attorney's Office. TE-86 has not been approved by legal yet. It's currently on hold. I spoke with the applicant yesterday, and he said that I think we can handle it. Once legal approves it, then regulatory can approve it and review it. There was a discrepancy between basically the GIS maps location for this address, which is 3070 St. Elmo. But the business address where this is located, according to the Secretary of State, is 3001 Broad Street. So it's just a discrepancy. We're gonna get that sorted out in the system, and we should be able to approve it on our end.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so we will take that off the record that it's been approved by regulatory. And now, let me consult legal. We don't have to do anything with that. We can just leave that alone,
Yeah,
correct?
we can just leave that alone.
Okay, perfect. All right, let's go to new temporary beer permit applications. There is none. New temporary beer permit applications, there's none. And we're going to new beer applications. And we are El So Supermercado, if I hope I said that right. All right, Melissa Perez, is she here? All right, do we know what's happening with El So?
It's just been held up by legal.
All right, legal?
I think this one's been on hold for a while, and thing for building, I think it was, unless they. I have to look at it. I think they were waiting on a building inspection. I don't know if that's been done yet.
Building inspection?
So I spoke with Brian Malone.
You want to come forward, sir?
I can.
Thank you.
I'm showing building signs off yesterday.
Did Brian sign off?
I'm showing in my system that he signed off yesterday.
Okay, good. There was a discrepancy between a final being needed for the actual building permit that was in the standard OpenGov system that was being worked. And without that, they couldn't move forward with the beer permit. So I spoke with Brian, they got it figured out, and I was under the understanding that he was good with it. So you can confirm that. Yesterday, he did sign off?
At 2.
Okay, excellent.
All right, thank you, Zach.
All right, well, I'll take a look at it and approve it, because it's been a while since I've looked at it.
All right, you want to just come back to them?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna hold off on number 1, El Sol Supermercado. I hope I said that right, beer number 1316. We'll come back to that after we finish the rest. All right, TWS Golf LLC, doing business as Choo Choo Golf Academy and Range. Are you here? Beer number 1324.
It's being held by a building. It's been passed to July 3rd.
Building passed to July 3rd. All right. All right, is that a meeting date?
Yeah,
no.
it is the first meeting in July.
Okay.
I think
Are we
you
gonna
need to
meet that?
do,
Okay.
you need to do a motion to pass it,
Right.
yeah.
I'm sorry?
The applicant has a work schedule conflict that he wants to be moved to the next meeting.
Not July 3rd, but the following?
No, July 3rd.
To July 3rd, okay. All right, can I get a motion for TWS Golf LLC, beer number 1324, that we will pass this off to July 3rd?
I move to pass beer permit 1324 to July 3rd.
Second.
All right, it's been, motion by Zach, second by Ron, that we will pass TWS Golf LLC, beer number 1324 to July 3rd. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. So moved. All right, number 3, Taco Mamacita LLC, doing business as Taco Mamacita, beer number 1333. Are you here?
That one has been approved by regulatory.
Oh,
It's been approved.
Tell her she doing your job. All right, that's been approved by regulatory, and so we can move past that. I will give counsel, legal counsel enough time to review El Sol Supermasado, so we'll do that at the end of the meeting. Is that to give you enough time? All right, perfect. All right, so next we move to previous beer violations, report and recommendations of the hearing officer, Trevor Ashley, heard on March 6, 2025. Nathan Benford, Uptown Reload, 2407 Glass Street, consumer reviolation of section 5-49, operating without a beer permit in District 9. They are here. We're gonna ask them to come forward, and then we're going to review the recommendations from, council. I'm sorry?
That was heard on June.
yeah, that's what I'm,
Instead of March 6th.
yeah.
All right, that was heard on June the
That
6th.
was my mistake.
All right. June 6th,
June 5th.
5th, June 5th. Appeared before the board on June 5th for reference section 5-51B, telephone and report disorder violated on December 5th. That's wrong too. All right. That's their previous violation. While we're correcting dates, I'm gonna give this board a chance to review the report and recommendations of the beer board hearing officer.
This is your correct violation.
All right, thank you, ma'am. All right,
I said, yeah, please.
so for the record, the correct violation is Nathan Benford, Uptown Reload, 2407 Glass Street, violation of section 5-49, operating without a beer permit, District 9. Yes, and then the previous violation was, I told you those dates.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, ma'am. All right. One moment. While we're reviewing, Mr. Nathan Benford, if you all want to address, this board, you can do so, while we review the report and recommendations of the beer board here in office. If y'all want to address the board. Okay, okay. Give me a chance, and I apologize, I want to see what the final, recommendations was on here. Yeah, I got it right here, recommendation. All right, I'm just gonna jump to the last page. It is therefore recommended by, the beer board hearing officer based upon the totality of the circumstances that the Bureau Board impose a $500 civil penalty. Reported recommendations respected submitted on the 6th day of June. So, the hearing officer said he imposed a $500 penalty.
Or he recommends.
He recommends, yeah, he
Yeah.
recommends, so I'm sorry, he recommends. All right, I will hear from this board, if they have anything, or we can accept the motion, the recommendation from the hearing officer, or if there's anything else that this board wants to discuss or impose. The floor is now open. I will recognize you by the sign of your hand.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So will they be allowed to continue to operate and sell beer under the current beer license because it is not in the owner's name?
Technically, no, because it needs to be in the correct person's name, and I would suggest, or there could be, an amendment to the hearing officer's recommendation that they have a certain amount of time to get it all straight into the correct person's name.
All right, did that answer your question? Okay.
Yes.
Any more questions?
I just would like to amend Mr. Ashley's recommendation from $500 to $1,000. And I say that because this is going on now since the violation, 4 months. I'm not sure how many years before that violation was put in the record that they've been running without a license, basically. I think that $500 is pretty, in other words, what I guess I'm trying to say is we need to bring other people out there on the streets that are getting their license and doing things right. We'd say, well, they got off easy, because that's really chump change in that industry. So my point is I'd like to make it to 1,000 and to Betsy's question of getting it corrected, give them 30 days to get it done. And then they're just going to have to do this in the real court. So my motion is to raise it to from $500 to 1,000.
All right, there is a motion on the floor, ladies and gentlemen, to amend what the hearing officer has stated, recommended from a $500 civil penalty to a $1,000 civil penalty and 30 days to get the corrected beer board license. Let me come to questions. All right, is there a second?
You got it.
Oh, but I gotta go to question first, second?
And there will be a chance to discuss
Then
the
I'll decide,
motion.
right, I thought so. So there's a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been motion and second, all in favor, ready for
Wait.
questions?
There's a
Questions?
discussion on the motion.
Well, discussion instead of questions.
Now it's your chance to make.
Now, this is your chance. You gotta go to motion, then second first.
My question was, how do we get to making a motion if everybody wasn't through asking questions? We just jumped to motions.
All right, you can.
I mean, it
Okay.
was,
Yeah, I'm with
it was
you.
question
Okay.
period,
All
not
right.
time for a motion.
All right, so there's a discussion still on the floor. Anybody else have anything else to say? Yes, Mr.
Not
Robinson.
making a motion, but my comment on the recommendation is if we're gonna extend it, give them time to get together, I recommend 60 days because there's a little slowness with OpenGov getting to the different offices responding. So I would say give them 60 days.
So are you
instead of-
wanting to amend the motion?
Amend them, that's a recommendation, to amend the motion to give them 60 days to get their license in place instead of 30. I just think there's a lot of flaws that could happen in between time.
All right,
And I would say leave it at the $500 penalty. That was my recommendation.
all right, we're still open for discussion.
So who license, do they have a license right now?
There is a license.
Do they have a permit right now?
Well, let's do this, sister, look, I'm acting like I'm in church. Sister, Miss Bertha. Will you check and see, do they have a license and whose name it is in to answer Christie's question, if that makes sense? And I think that will solve it all, because they have to be in the system.
A permit was issued under year 999, and they are operating until December 31st of 2025, under 999.
Whose name is on it?
Whose name is on it?
Charles Smith,
Now, who is Charles Smith?
the manager.
The manager. Who does the,
I'm coming to you, sir.
Who does the department
supposed to be in? I mean, the
Nathan.
permit, Nathan.
Whose name is the permit supposed to be in before I go to Mr. Benford? I think that's Mr. Benford. Whose name is the permit supposed to be in?
Well,
Well, I spoke with Shirley Townsend, I believe she is a sister-in-law.
Yes, ma'am.
And she is in the process of submitting a new application. I haven't seen that come through yet.
wait, she's,
What kind of application?
A new
For beer
beer application.
in her name?
No, in Mr. Charles Smith's name.
is it supposed to be Mr. Benford?
Mr. Benford.
Okay, let me come to you right now. Your name?
My name is Nathan Benford.
Okay, you're Mr. Benford.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And, go ahead.
My sister-in-law is submitting my name for the new beer license.
Okay, let me ask you this question. Charles Smith is who?
Me, sir. I have a beer license, beer permit number 999. I'm applying for 5% ownership again. Since Mr. Benford has took over the building, I am applying for 5% of ownership now.
So that you'll also be on the license?
Yes, ma'am. And also, when Officer Woods come in with the violation with the paper with Mr. Benford's number on it, I had a beer permit running in place with that beer permit before the beer permit was sold to Ms. Townsend. Somebody in the office downtown put it in. They filed it, but they put it in and put Mr. Benford's name on my license, on my permit. So it was a mix-up, and therefore, when Officer Woods come in, he said that Mr. Benford does not have a legal beer license. He has never been before the beer board. I've sworn in, been before the beer board, and was operating up under 999.
Which is the current license?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Gotcha. All right, did that answer, I'm coming to Christie, did that answer, did that answer your question?
I still don't think we ever got to the point like who switched the names down at the city.
Yeah, I think I missed that last meeting. I know I was out of town. That was supposed to have been an action to go back to have the city office, somebody come before the board to explain that process.
So here's what happened. We have the transcript here, and I asked them, let's see. Because it wasn't so much the city was at issue, it was the fact that Mr. Benford had an interest in the business and was not on the beer permit. That was the issue. Because he said he was on the LLC, he said he owned the building, he said he had an interest in the business. So Mr. Benford should have been on the beer permit all along.
Okay.
Right.
So,
But is that Mr. Benford's fault or somebody else's fault that he wasn't put on the permit? And what are our options? One, how do we prevent this from happening again? Two, I know that it was discussed, I also was not in that meeting, however, I did read the transcripts, so I know what happened. What are our, do we still have the option to talk to somebody to see what happened? How these names got mixed up back and forth?
Comment about that.
Well, before you do that, can she answer her question before you come? just so we won't get lost in it. Is that okay?
Yeah.
That was, or does it even matter at this point?
Well, right now, what's before the board is whether or not to affirm or, amend or deny the recommendations of the hearing officer.
I understand that.
If, you want more information before you make that decision, that's obviously within the power of the board. You
Okay.
can, suggest that we pass this decision to the next meeting and request that, I don't know, someone from the Treasury's office be here, if that's what the board wants. So,
Okay.
All right. You good?
Yeah, I just wanted to
Okay.
know, yeah, that's all I wanted
I'm
to know.
going to Zach.
What I don't want to happen is they're applying for a new beer permit. What I don't want to happen is extend the time that they're not able to operate during the interim. As I read it and as I understand it, the beer permit was essentially it was void from the beginning because the owner was not on the beer permit.
Right.
It was never really legally in compliance. Now, but it was also not our obligation to bring in the city. It was not our assertion to prove that the city messed up. Unfortunately, you guys could have asked the city to come in and testify to that. The city hasn't had any direct examination or cross-examination. We did recommend that previously so we could get to the bottom of it.
Correct.
But it wasn't presented to us at the
I
hearing.
understand that, but, so when you apply for a beer license, is there not somebody checking? Does this person actually own this property? Does this person how did they get a legal permit? How were they, whether it was fraudulent or not, whether they were supposed to know Mr. Benford is the 100% property owner. Isn't that what the whole legal background check, isn't that what they're supposed to do? And then it comes to us and they say, yes, we checked everything. Yes, they've met all criteria. And we say, here's your permit. So somewhere that got mixed up, right?
So if I can offer some clarification here, this happened before they opened. So we would not have been on notice that Mr. Benford was involved in the business at the time they got the permit. Because
Would have been their responsibility.
Right.
Which I do agree, and I read this in the transcript, and I have a beer permit. And I've read the back and front of that thing, the code, multiple times, because I'm on the board now too. And it is your requirement as the owner, as the permittee, to know the rules. You're supposed to know that if you own 5% of the business, you're supposed to be on the license. I do ultimately think that somehow there was a mix-up, and I would like to never see that happen again. And as much as I hate to say it, and I feel bad because y'all been here almost this whole year, you're supposed to know what the rules are. That's your legal obligation to have in a document from the city that says you have permission to do this.
All right, we're going to hear from you, sir.
At the time I was awarded a beer permit, I was 5% owner. What happened is ownership transferred. Mr. Benford bought the building. So I'm still, to correct what was going wrong with you all, I applied again for 5% of the ownership. The license was legal. It was not a fraudulent license or nothing like that. At the time, all the paperwork was intact. We was not operating illegally that I've known. It's been 3 years.
All right, we're going to Zach. Then I come to Veronica.
OpenGov and do the application. Are they under oath in any way?
Yes.
They're under oath. The fact that Mr. Benford owns the property has nothing to do with who owns the business. It's a completely separate thing. Mr. Benford could own the property and 100% owner of the business, which he testified to owning 100% of the business.
Correct.
You don't have to apply to the city to get 5% ownership interest in that business. That is a decision between
Yes,
the two of you.
me and Mr. Benford, yes.
So, and we trust the oath of the applicant because it's under oath. Paperwork can validate that. If you come with what's called an operating agreement for an LLC and it says, I own 5% interest in this company, that's certainly permittable, but we don't require that in the permit process, in the application. We trust the word of the applicant. And Mr. Benford testified at the hearing that he was 100% owner.
Yeah, he bought it from Miss Townsend.
He bought the building from Ms.
Let
Townsend.
me let legal come in and just clear some things up real quick, and then I'm coming to you, Veronica.
So when you have at least a 5% ownership, you're required to be on the permit. So technically, it would be considered a change of ownership. So they would have had to come in and do another
Correct.
beer permit.
Right.
So,
Now, when
And
that
they- and did
happened,
they?
when that happened, he had 100, you said he had 100, you said you got 5. Did y'all not stop then to say, let's go change the license?
We didn't know that we were supposed to do that.
Gotcha.
That's the whole mix-up.
Gotcha.
But I was 5%
Right.
interest in it.
Right, and that's what Brooke was saying at first. And
Yes,
then I
ma'am,
could be-
that
you gotta
is
know that.
correct.
Right, all right, Ms. Veronica?
I just want to say that prior to the hearing on June the 6th, Officer Wood had stated under oath that he was going to bring, I think the lady's name was Shirley, someone from the finance office to the city to give us a clear understanding on what happened. And I know it legally is saying fraudulent, but when he applied, they issued the license. They came to a place, it had the wrong name on it. He went back down there and fixed it, but he couldn't go behind, type on that computer and change his name.
Right.
Somebody at the city put the wrong information on that. That's what got us here today. But that person did not come here to testify to say that.
Okay. Ron?
Oh, no, I'm just listening. I'm trying to absorb.
All right.
If my understanding, well, if I
Go
may,
ahead.
if
No,
my
go.
understanding of Mr. Smith's testimony is, and he stated it numerous times, that the beer permit was under my name. The beer permit was under my name. That infers to me that when the clerk or whoever it was in the department was filling out the application, then, and he's telling her the beer permit's in my name, then that was put into the system.
Well, his name
But that
Charles Smith,
wasn't
but they put Nate Winford's name on it.
That was
It's
not
my
done in
number.
OpenGov and any,
It's my number on there.
Number, his name.
And you don't,
My permit number is on that license.
I know it's in his name and it shouldn't be in his name.
This license was issued in 2021 originally, correct?
Right. The lady,
Wait,
I
hold
talked,
on.
I'm asking
There's
the,
some-
Miss, or whoever I need to ask, Miss Bertha, you can look up, and what was the name originally on the original?
Smith under 999.
it's been Charles Smith.
It's been that.
been
And
there.
so it should have been changed if he took over 100% of the business. He being Mr., is it Benford, am I saying that
Yes,
correct?
ma'am.
I keep saying Bedford in my head,
Yeah.
but it wasn't. So you just kept renewing a legal license, correct?
Yes,
I mean,
ma'am.
that's how I'm seeing it. He was issued a license 4 years ago,
Yeah.
and he kept
And they're
renewing
renewing
it.
Right.
And there was nobody checking. That's how I'm seeing this.
Well, it's,
I'm sorry. Let me just get a little audit real quick. Sister,
Discrepancy comes in at the city treasurer's office when it was renewed under a different name.
they're different now.
Without coming to us.
exactly.
They don't have to come to us for
To renew it. They don't have to.
For renew it.
Right.
They don't have to for a
She
different,
made a
if you change
mistake,
the
excuse
name.
me. She made a mistake
And then
when they
she fixed
transferred
it.
the ownership.
So, I don't know how far we are in motion, but I personally would like to hear from somebody else before we inflict a punishment on these guys. I mean,
All right.
that's,
Where we are is that there was a motion made by Ron
Yeah.
to increase the fine to $1,000 and give them 30 days to fix their permit. And then Ms. Veronica
Right.
made a motion to amend.
Made a recommendation, because I didn't think I could make a motion in behind one that was already on
Well,
the table.
that's why I asked if you wanted to amend, so I took that as a motion.
Right.
Okay, a motion to amend to keep it at $500, but give
With
them
60 days.
60 days to amend it.
That is
And that motion has not been seconded.
Correct.
And we are in discussion.
We in discussion mode, correct.
Right.
But we had a second on the first.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That is correct.
So what are we doing with that?
It's being
So-
we're
amended.
discussing.
Right, so because if there's a motion to amend on the table, we vote on that motion to amend first.
Right.
And then whether or not that,
Goes through.
motion goes through, then we go back to the bigger question as to the original motion,
Right.
if that makes sense,
It does.
y'all.
But right now, we're still in discussion.
Right.
well, a point here is that in Trevor Ashley's 4-page thing, he's got about 30 points on there of all the things that we discussed at the last meeting. and the 28th one on there is however, the permit is issued for the operation of Uptown Reload was applied for and issued in the name of Charles Smith. Mr. Smith has no ownership in Uptown Reload. The issuance of the beer permit is in name is improper. I mean, he should have never had it in the first place. It's gone on and on and on. We've been now 4 months, just this. And my point is, had 4 months to get this straightened around. And they just keep pointing fingers at City Hall or at the Treasurer's office, which Mr. Ashley has told us there's no proof of that, none whatsoever. They looked at the computers up here back and forth the other day, and there was no proof that anybody at the Treasurer's office ever did anything.
Yes, there was. I might have misunderstood, but there's proof that the name changed.
Well, I think that just
Well,
handwritten on
somebody
the,
did that.
where's the document?
I need clarification on that too, because Ms. Bertha just said that a name was changed.
She said it.
What was the original name, and when was the
It was
name
Charles
changed?
Smith.
I know Charles Smith was the original name. When was the name changed, and if it was changed,
February.
was it changed to Mr. Benford's name?
You're talking about before Charles Smith's name was on the license, who was there before, correct?
As I'm potentially understanding it, Charles Smith has been on it from the beginning.
Yes.
So then a name was changed. Who was the name changed to? Mr. Smith has testified it's been in his name the entire time.
So the renewal was issued to Nathan Benford
When?
December 31st, 2024.
So that,
By Sarah McGraw.
Are there documents to go with it? Change of ownership, is there any type of documentation that's uploaded with that?
I will say,
So potentially, for my personal license, when I come to renew, I can just put any name on there and they won't go back and check? I've had one for 11 years.
I don't know how they operate.
So then I would like to figure out how to make them, I don't want to keep making motions, but we need more information. Am I the only person that feels like this?
No, you're not.
I mean,
But-
don't get me wrong, there is a problem, but I don't think it's just you.
Right, so.
I don't think that you were like, and I could be wrong, but were you just like, oh, I'm just gonna change the name because I got nothing to do after all these years?
So Charles Smith is on there until December 2025, and Nathan Bifford, it was renewed in 2024. When did it change back to Charles Smith?
That was in February.
After
That's
they
what
after they got the violation.
They got the violation, they went and called and said, hey, what's going on, or whatever, I don't know what you said, but that's what Lieutenant Wood said, it's in the
Yeah.
transcript that we read, that
I think we need to find out more
there was a
information about what's
violation on the
going
10th, and on the 18th, the name was changed back. That's what the transcript says.
all right,
Just a note, they've been at this for 4 months, and of that, one time, they didn't show up. And I'm gonna say because they weren't notified. Another time, the hearing officer didn't show up. So out of 4 of those, only 2 times were both parties here.
And y'all showed up one time and we didn't have an agenda and couldn't
Right, we didn't have an
operate.
agenda, so. That's why they've been at this for 4 months. It's not
The
their
lady
fault.
the lady downtown I spoke with, said that she in the process of ownership changing to Mr. Benford, that's how his name was applied on that beer license. They had applied for it, but he had never been before the beer board. Before Ms. Townsend sold him, I'll make the statement again, I was 5% owner. We're going back to that to try to clarify this mishap of this problem. We never operated under a fraudulent license. They brung that license in there. My name was hanging up. They brung a license with my number on it and his name. And I asked the lady downtown, how did that happen? She said, from a point of changing in the ownership. So therefore, my 5% didn't show up. because he bought the building. But we are trying to correct that, because I'm tired of coming down here too. We're trying to correct this. We don't want no problems. We want to operate within the law.
So, and correct me if I'm wrong, every member that has 5% or more has to be on the license.
That's correct.
So if you were 5% owner from the get-go, there should have been somebody else on the license with you. But
That is correct.
you still got a license. We gotta fix the problem,
Did they put
get
at
more
that time-
information.
At that time, did they put it on the application? Because you have to list everybody's name on that application at that time.
Yeah, but if you don't, isn't that the point of legal and background check to check all that, or?
So,
No.
here's the thing, when you first apply for a beer permit, we only have what you tell us. If it's before you open, there's no way for us to say, okay, are you lying or are you not? You have to swear under oath when you submit that application that you are who you say you are, you own what you say you own, and the business is what you say it's going to be. Then if after you open, we find out that that's something different, then that's a problem.
Right.
So I don't think there's a way on the front end for us to figure this out. You have to be open and.
Right,
you
there's
know.
a way on the back end.
Right.
We're on the back end right now.
Right.
But still,
So-
there's the question of how did these names get switched around and there be a legal license for so many years? Or is there not a question about that?
I think there's a question as to how it got changed from Mr. Smith to Mr. Benford's name. Like, how did that happen?
Right.
And then if Mr. Smith has been on the license this entire time, who else should have been on there?
Right.
And if not everybody who was supposed to be on the license was on the license, in my opinion, I don't think that license was ever valid because it's incomplete.
Because you swore an oath and you didn't follow the rules, which was why I said earlier, as much as I hate this and we gotta fix the problem,
Well, it goes back.
you do have to click all those boxes. It is your responsibility to know what the rules are. It is. It's a long document and it's hard to read and it's kind of dull in a lot of parts, but you're supposed to read it. You're supposed to know it.
Right.
But
I think one of the things that confuses me is when it was renewed in 2024 to Mr. Benford's name, and then Mr. Charles came back in February.
Yeah. With the
So
violation.
would he not have to go through that whole process of coming back in front of us again to get it approved?
well, they changed everything. They do unregulatory now. They don't have to see us anymore.
So
Right.
I think another issue is with Treasury. They don't have any part in this process. They just issue the permit, right? So whatever legality issue, it should be handled through regulatory.
Right.
So if, let's say someone calls the treasurer's office and say, hey, there's been a misunderstanding, you need to change the name, the treasurer's office is not going to know that, hey, that's not how the procedure is. The person who's calling should know because they're the one with the permit.
Right.
Treasury office is just going off the word of the person that's calling in.
So anybody could call. You could call tomorrow and say, hey, my name is Catherine, I own Lakeshore Grill, put my name on that permit, and they can do it?
No.
They're not obligated to check?
Like I said, they just
Because
issue the
I have a
permit.
legal, I understand, but I have a legal permit, so anybody could call up and say, oh my God, there was a mistake. This is the name that should be on there.
Unless they look at that document.
They don't look at anything.
Well, I'm just saying, unless they looked at the document and they did not put both names on there and they just saw one name
Treasury's
on.
not responsible for looking at anything, they just issued the permit, right?
Right. they
Right,
just
they're not
issue
a
the
part of
permit.
this process, they're the city, they're just the one that,
So if like in this case, we find out later that this happened, then the process worked. Like they were cited for this issue and now they came before us. That's how that's supposed to work.
Right.
So,
Cited because the treasurer's office messed up.
no, they
And,
didn't mess
well,
up.
it messed up by changing the name to Nate Benford. And then Charles Smith was able to just go down there or call and say, hey, you got the wrong name on here. And they just automatically changed it again and put his name back on there.
Well, I don't think that it was an issue with the Treasury Department. Well,
It was with the name.
well, they would have had to call down there and tell them. That's
Exactly.
what she was saying. So they can just pick up the phone and call them and tell them this name goes on the permit.
And on day one, when you received the beer license to put on your wall and you saw it's in the wrong name, you gotta be calling to get that fixed immediately because you never know when they're gonna show up. And that's coming from an owner as well. So again, I understand, I mean, and I wanna be here all night pointing the fingers of who fault it is. I understand what you're saying, the treasurer, but I guess that's, we've been hearing treasury is just gonna take the money.
No, and I just want to make sure, one, this doesn't happen again. Two, like,
And I think somewhere in that document.
it is
Brooke,
your responsibility to know the
Right.
rules.
Right.
If you
Okay,
own the
ma'am.
permit.
And that's
it's-
what it says in that document as
So I
well.
would second your
We
motion.
accept our responsibility,
There you
and
go.
you all accept your responsibility. And I think it's only fair to give us time to straighten it out.
I would second Veronica's motion to uphold the $500 civil penalty and give you 60 days to square it away.
All right, so we're going to finalize discussions. Anybody else from the board before we move forward to what's been
There
motioned
would
and
need to be a
second?
second on that, correct?
Well, yeah.
There
Well,
was a second.
It's a
She just
She
seconded.
just seconded.
Yeah. So now the vote on the amendment
On the amendment, which is
to the
Veronica.
original motion.
Right, the amendment to, from $1,000 to 30 days, the amendment is $500 to 60 days. It's been motioned and second. Let's go for, let's go for the vote. Zach, yea or nay?
Nay.
Bessie?
No.
Yeah, Reggie?
There's not a discussion when I'm voting right, I just vote right. So that was 500 and,
1,000.
I'm sorry, 1,000 and then amendment
To it.
No.
No,
The amended motion,
the amended motion was for
500 to the 60 days. That is correct.
That's the amendment, and
That's the
that's what we're voting on, right?
That is
Right.
correct.
Not 1,030 days.
Right.
Okay, it's 1,060 days.
No, 560 days, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, just want to be sure. Yes.
Ron? No. Veronica? Brooke?
Yes.
Christie?
Yes.
And the chair votes no.
So we're
And
split.
with 4 and 4.
So it fails. The motion.
The motion fails.
To amend fails. So we're back
We're
to
back
the
to-
original
We're back to the
motion.
original motion.
$1,000 in 30 days.
Right. So the original motion is $1,000 and 30 days.
I think Zach had.
Okay, is that the other question?
Yes, I just want to say why I nayed the amendment.
You're allowed to.
Because there's a national fingerprint background check involved in this. Society operates on trust. Even with the Secretary of State, when you create an LLC, you don't have to tell them who owns it at all. You can't even find the owner, in a lot of cases. If every owner that owns 5% or more in this business didn't do that background check, for whatever reason, which they're obligated to do, and it's your obligation to know that that has to be done,
I have one.
I understand
I
you
thought
have
we were
one.
through with questions and we were in the middle of a motion.
I think
No,
he's
that-
explaining
no,
his
yeah,
name.
that-
It's no.
Yeah,
We're in the middle of a motion.
There's still a motion on the table, right?
yeah, it's still.
The
So the
original
motion, the motion, we're going back to voting on now $1,000 and 30 days.
That's the motion.
That's the
on
motion on
table.
the table now. Zach?
Yes, so that
That's
is.
yes? Let me just go.
He does say
Oh,
still.
discussing.
He was finishing his statement.
Yeah, he's
still
discussion.
Discussion.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
The vote has not been called yet.
Right.
So I certainly agree with providing time. I would agree with 60 days. And I'm not adding an amendment. I'm not adding an amendment. I'm just throwing this out for
Just
discussion.
explaining.
I would be open to 60 days, but I do believe $1,000 is warranted. That's it.
And on that discussion, the reason I said yes is I wholeheartedly agree to responsibility. It is my responsibility to be a good standing citizen and follow the law and know the rules. It's everybody's responsibility. The only reason I would suggest, or the main reason that I would prefer to give them a little bit longer and a lesser penalty is because regardless of how it happened or who wasn't able to attend, we're pushing July. And this happened in February. That's the only reason. And there have been more cases where they showed up and we were not able to operate than we showed up and they were not. And that's, I'm just pushing that out there. You told me why you said no. This is why I said yes. I just want everybody remember that. It's, I mean, come on. That's all. So I'm ready to vote.
Anybody else for discussion before we move forward? Y'all good?
Well, maybe one, if there's a split the baby option, and we do a $750 civil penalty.
Amend the motion.
Why is money an issue?
Because they have to pay it.
It's a it's deterrence. It's money, if money's not an issue, then the penalty doesn't matter at all. It's deterrence. When they apply, I'll ask one more question of Charles Smith, if I may. Is when you originally applied for the beer permit, you owned 5% of the business of Uptown Reload, not the property.
Not the property,
Who
period.
was the other owner on that business that owned 95% of the business?
I think it was Miss Townsend.
Was she ever on the license?
No.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. So in other words, another way to look at it is you got away with it for 4 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I will move to amend the motion to $750 civil penalty and 60 days to remedy.
I'll second that.
So there is discussion still? Before, I know there's a motion on the floor.
You got motion and then second, and then
Okay,
discussion.
yeah, I didn't hear the second.
Did we
Got second?
cancel the first motion, no?
No.
No, we have to vote on the amendment, just like last time.
Amendment. So the amendment is, are we for $750 and 60 days? Going with Christie, for or against?
There can be discussion on
Yeah,
that, right?
discussion on the motion.
He's ready to go.
You're just trying to.
I know, you see me trying to push it. You see, is there discussion on, there's discussion on the 750 and 60 days? Anybody else?
Discussion?
I have noticed none.
No discussion.
So,
Veronica, discussion?
Definitely no discussion.
Ron, discussion?
No.
Reggie, discussion?
No.
Brooke, discussion? Zach, discussion?
No.
All right, we're going for the vote. We either for it or against it, correct? All right, so, the amendment on the floor is $750, penalty fee, 60 days, for or against Christie?
For.
All right, Brooke,
yes.
Veronica? No. Ron?
Yes.
Reggie?
Yes.
Bessie?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. So, it's, yes, $750, it's been moved and second, I think I said that right.
So the motion carries.
Right.
And now the new motion is a $750,
Okay, we
60
gotta
days,
do it all
and
over
then you
again.
have to vote on
Okay,
that.
guys, you gotta do it all again. So now the new motion, ladies and gentlemen. Now the new motion, now that we're going for that, thank you for directing me. The new motion on the floor is there's a $750 civil penalty with 60 days to get the corrected license. Up for discussion? Going for the vote? Zach?
Yes.
Betsy?
Yes.
Reggie?
Yes.
Ron? Veronica?
No.
Brooke?
Yes.
Christie? And the chair votes yes. It's been moved and second voted on that, Nathan Benford, Uptown Reload will pay a $750 civil penalty and have 60 days to get the correct license.
Now, did we set a date term on this thing here?
That was not in the motion, but we can talk
sorry.
about that. We have to put that in the
Question,
motion.
please.
A date
Have
and
to do
time.
that?
Date and time,
To have the penalty pay and the 60 days. Do they come back? Is that gonna be back on the agenda?
so with the penalty, we have the
I'll hear it.
order.
Gotcha.
And usually it says within 7 days of this decision, so within a week.
Okay.
That's what the form says. I mean, we can change the form,
Right.
but that's what the form
Okay.
says.
Can I read that to them? Or do
Just
they
trying
know
to get
that?
it under
Can
the
we,
rug.
is that secret? I don't know, tell me. No, we be
You
right
can-
back. Well, with sunshine law, we can't even, we can't.
I can show this to them. I also have.
On the board.
To the board, I guess,
Okay.
if you want that. But I do have to add the 60 days to correct the license on here.
Okay, let me just tell them what we're discussing. Can I say that? On the order form, it says that you have $750 penalty, and you have to have it paid within 7 days. And she's also adding now to that order form, there's a 60-day to correct the license. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that you have 7 days to have that paid, and you got 60 days from today's date.
Where do we
which
pay?
is-
Where is it to be paid at?
It's going to go back to the treasury.
Okay.
No,
Okay,
they
also,
paid to,
It goes to
Miss
the
Bertha, and it's,
It goes to you?
okay,
Yes.
another question. He has applied for his, beer license too. We waiting back to hear from that. And, we're gonna do the LLC with the 5%. So, the question is, are we able to keep operating until we have this matter straight?
You have 60 days, correct?
Yeah,
Thank you.
right,
yeah.
60 days
Now,
to.
60 days, would you have,
Yeah, we'll have it straight. We'll have it
Your names.
both of
Yes,
them?
ma'am.
Anybody else on there?
Yes, both of us will be on there. Yes, ma'am.
Don't come back.
Please don't, please don't.
Ownership of change.
Well,
Well, I mean, that can be
don't come back for
approved
something
through
like
the
this.
regular-
Yes,
You're
ma'am.
dealing with
I got,
regulatory.
excuse me, I gotta use the restroom.
That's right, sir. All right,
Okay, motion to adjourn.
we're going back, ladies and gentlemen, to El Sol Super Mercado. New beer application. I'm sorry, you probably didn't have time to review that.
true.
Yeah, I found out one.
All right, it's been, signed and ready to go.
So that, the almost Super Monaco is complete.
So does that mean we vote on it, or it's approved, it'll be approved through regulatory?
Does it go to regulatory? No, because you approved
I
it.
mean,
We
you
vote
can,
Can we if they're not here?
you can vote,
Should vote.
or send it to regulatory.
Send it to regulatory.
Vote to send it to regulatory. Okay.
Look at everybody, let's send it.
I make a motion to send regulatory.
We go, we're gonna send that to regulatory. Okay, for the record, El Sol Supermercado, beer 1316, is being sent back to regulatory. Legal has signed off on it. All right.
Darts?
All right, let's continue on with this meeting.
Excuse me.
Any discussions? Any discussions?
Yeah, I have just one. The hearing shall happen within 60 days. I understand the public hearing officer has discretion. I don't want to see this happen again either. I think,
Wait a minute, we got 2 meetings going on here.
All right, Mr.
what's the question, Ron?
I'm just saying, we got 2 meetings going on in here and you can't hear, so I can't
Okay.
hear.
We'll let them figure out the.
Yeah, we need to make a copy of that and give it to them.
All right, hold on, fellas.
We're not gonna let you go that easy.
Yeah, all right. All right, I'm sorry, now here we go, we're gonna resume. Go ahead, Zach.
The timeline, it shall be heard within 60 days, and then the public hearing officer has the discretion to pass it. My observation is if an applicant doesn't show, the hearing officer is lenient in saying, we're gonna pass it 2 weeks. That puts it at the 30-day mark, or even longer, because it's from the beer citation. So my only point is, maybe the chair or legal can speak with the hearing officer and just say, we don't want this to happen again. Something, I mean, because it's somewhat impractical, because the timeline, because they get the citation, and then that starts the 60-day clock, and then we only meet every 2 weeks. And so, it can easily go past the 60 days.
Well, the thought process behind that is that before it went into effect, we had people having, something that happened in January. Their hearing didn't happen until August. And then sometimes some of the things kind of fell through the cracks and were not heard in a timely manner.
Right.
This way, it keeps it on the books, it keeps it, in the forefront of the mind, but, I can relay to the hearing officer, if it's the pleasure of the board, that they don't want to, I guess, give continuances as freely.
No, that's not what
Or-
I'm recommending, just that continuances are fine, but just to know and be aware of this timeline, because you got businesses operating
Yeah,
while these violations are pending.
yeah.
One other thing that, to your point there and all, is that Trevor has told us that when they get a violation, they're supposed to respond in writing back to the hearing officer. And that's not happening. And even if it did happen, it would probably drag it out a little bit further. You could wait on them and get it and then go, So there's something needs to be done all over that, how that.
When is the written response supposed to be submitted?
Let me look.
It tells it before the hearing.
Oh, yeah, it is. I think it's within 15 days.
That's great. That might speed it up.
Yeah, I don't know if that is actually on the citation though.
I don't think that they're telling them.
I've had, my husband got a citation, it's not on there.
It's not on there.
Did they tell you?
And
They
maybe we
didn't
need
tell
to
us anything.
revamp
The paper said be there in
Revamp it.
30 days, we were there in 30 days, and we weren't put on the agenda.
No, they're not being relied the information,
Yeah.
and several businesses have come in here and said that.
And maybe we need to revamp the form, the citation, because the code has been, revamped. So
Yeah.
the actual citation may need to reflect that. And even when you get a summons for court, it says you have to respond within 30 days or a default judgment will be entered against you. And maybe that's some language, if the board would like to
Well, when I think
amend our
of being
form.
responsive, I don't think of writing a statement, I think of showing up to court.
Yeah, that's what the citation says. It says you show up on this day. And that's what you do.
And see, that's even before probably Trevor's figured out what his schedule is.
Yep.
He
Well, the thought process is also
they come
that
here
we should have more
first.
than one.
Yeah.
well,
The board hears the violation, and then the attorney hears it, and then we make a recommendation on what the attorney suggests. So like in our case, it took us 3 weeks. Well, actually, no, we had to come back 3 times, because we weren't heard the first time. And then the second time, it was on the agenda, and then we had to come back again to hear
The board recommendation.
what the board recommendation, which also,
Well, I think I brought up
written
there.
thing,
Again, right?
I said, my whole thought on that written thing though is, how many of them are gonna do it, Especially within 15.
people, if it says you gotta do this, so says the law,
I
do
know,
it.
but
If they know,
To
they'll do
respond
it.
to Zach's question, section 5-197, answer, permittees served with the notice pursuant to this part shall file with the clerk of the beer board at the regulatory unit of the Chattanooga Police Department a written answer to the allegations and alleging the complaint within 15 days of receipt of the notice. It's in the code, however, it's not on the citation.
So can we
don't
put
know.
that blur on the citation? Is that possible?
Every single other one that didn't do that, are they in violation?
Well, he's told them verbally at the meeting that he had asked them if they had,
An answer file.
had written in response, and they'd say no, and he said, well, I wanna, cause it's all new to us, and it's.
The meeting.
Yeah, there's been grace, because it's a new process.
Right.
Yeah.
I think this will speed it up, and it adds, hopefully it does.
I mean, yeah,
No, we don't wanna do this again.
So what's the action?
like Zach said, this is a new process, so we're working out all the kinks. And I think that what may be prudent is to revise the form and put that pursuant to section 5-197, you should file an answer within 15 days. If not, then a default judgment can be entered against you. And that's the way the code is written. So if you don't respond, then the hearing
Okay.
officer is well within his rights to
keep
go
it
ahead
going.
and move
And I
forward with
like all
that.
of that, but I think,
Yeah, but not for 31 days.
Now, is that action coming from your office, Bertha, to revise that form?
I can get with Ms. Bertha and we can
All right.
work on it.
Can you have that on the agenda for the following week and that we just review that form with the revised version?
Now, I don't know if I have it ready about the next one.
All right, any more discussions? Thank you, Zach. Thank everybody for commenting on that. Any more discussions for anything? Let me apologize again for my tardiness. I will catch up on all my emails and respond accordingly. All right. Any public comments? Yes, sir.
Sorry. Eddie Davis with TriStar Beverage. Just have a question for the board, and Ms. Bertha sends me delinquent applications that do not have a legal beer permit. Is it still permissible for our company to sell beer, liquor, of course it doesn't fall under liquor, but to our customers? I mean, I've always wondered that question, and I've asked, and everybody says, well, I don't know. I want to get it on the record to ask the beer board. Maybe it's something I should ask regulatory about. You know, if they do not have a legal beer permit, and, you know, of course, you're supposed to have it on your wall. If that salesman's walking in there, he's getting his order, he's looking for signage or whatever else, he's not looking at that on the wall.
Right.
I'm just being honest.
What is your business?
TriStar Beverage is a alcohol distributor here locally in Chattanooga. It used to be Budweiser of Chattanooga.
Budweiser.
We are located up on 27.
Well, Eddie, I thought the reason you were here, and Cherokee never has been here since they've been Cherokee, I know, but I always thought the reason you were here, if they didn't have a real, you see that they get a permit, you wouldn't deliver it unless
That is correct. That is correct.
Okay.
And to make first
if
contact with that customer and just.
We all of a sudden determine they do not have a legal permit, I would think it's your right to, responsibility really, to cut
To
them
not
out.
sell to that customer.
I mean, that's just the way I.
But, you know, going back to the beer code, you know, if I sell it to them, it's their responsibility not to serve it.
Right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Say they got a 3-day suspension. Their beer order doesn't come until Thursday. Well, they're on the weekend, they're not selling, but Monday they're open back up. They want to have their product there.
Right.
Just asking.
That's
Just
a good,
asking.
that's a good scenario.
Legal for my company.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah, that was good.
I will touch bases with your legal department and see if, a response on that.
I mean, if we know it, you know, 3-day
don't
suspension is
know.
different than, you know.
Like a 30-day or.
Revoke license.
Revoke.
Revoke license, we won't sell.
Right.
Because they can.
My input on that would be, it's illegal, if they're on a suspension, it's illegal for them to sell beer, not to purchase it. They can still purchase it legally. Let them purchase it.
Well, in a lot of places, like I can only, because I'm so far removed from everybody else, I got 1 day to get beer and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So if I'm on a suspension that day, then I'm technically not being able to sell a beer for a whole week.
That's true.
And I thought we just discussed the legality is on the permit holder.
Yeah, that's my take on it.
Just
as
something for
well.
thought, and I would like to know myself so I can report correctly back to, but I will check with our legal department too and find out what our
Your stance is?
policy is on that. Thank you.
I wouldn't see any liability for your company.
Thank you.
But I would double check.
Can you return and let us know what your legal said, though?
I will.
All right,
Yes, I will. I
hear
will
every
definitely
week.
find out what they're saying.
that's a good point. All right, any more public comments? All right, can I get a motion to?
Motion to adjourn.
Second? Aye. All right.